From Blackfoot to Teton, we've got your District 6 breakdown right here on the East Idaho Prepcast with Lance Taylor.
That's right. Welcome into another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast here on IdahoSports.com, breaking down everything you need to know in District 6 each and every week. Now, normally my name is Brandon Baney. Yes, my name is Brandon Baney. Normally, I'm joined by Lance Taylor. He's our District 6 extraordinaire. He's been traveling the last 2 weeks. So for the second week in a row, Lance not here, but he'll be back next week. No worries. Lance, have a safe trip. Get back to East Idaho safely. We filled in the gaps this week, though, so it's not just me rambling for 20 minutes like last week. And we have a couple of interviews that we're going to play in just a little bit. Let's quickly recap the week that was and then get you set for what's going on this weekend, because today's show is going to be really cross-country centered. The start of the cross-country season kind of flew under the radar a little bit because it starts a little bit later than the other fall sports. But that doesn't mean there's not a dearth of quality runners in East. In fact, East Idaho seems to dominate at the state cross-country meet, at least for the past couple of seasons. And that's going to be, I think, the case again this year. We had a fantastic statewide cross-country preview that Marlo Herford wrote for us on IdahoSports.com. That's still on our homepage if you want to kind of get scouted up on what's going on cross-country-wise. And the big reason we're putting so much emphasis on cross-country on this week's episode of the East Idaho Prepcast is because Friday we will be broadcasting live coverage of the Tiger-Grizz Invitational. That's right, one of the biggest and best cross-country meets of the season. Coming to Idaho Falls once again. Freeman Park is going to be the destination. It's a meet that's co-hosted by Idaho Falls and Skyline, of course, the Tiger-Grizz meet. And we're going to be there broadcasting. There's going to be 4 varsity heats, 2 girls, 2 boys, and it's split up by larger schools, 5A and 4A, and smaller schools, 3A, 2A, 1A. The coverage will start right around 2:45 Friday afternoon. The first heat set to take off at 2:50, and myself and Paul Kingsbury will be there giving you all of your, it's not really lap by lap coverage, but we'll be there broadcasting live at the Tiger-Grizz event. And so we're going to talk to the coaches from Skyline and Idaho Falls to get you kind of ready for what's going on in the cross-country scene. Before we get there, though, let's revisit really quickly what happened in football last week. I think the biggest story has to be Idaho Falls starting off 2-0. The Tigers were a team that came in with not a ton of fanfare. You know, they really struggled last season, finished in last place in the High Country Conference, lost some good players off of that team, and they're one of those teams that nobody really knew too much about. We knew they had some guys coming back, but in terms of preseason hype, there wasn't a ton of information. You know, we tried to reach out to head coach Marty Duffin a couple of times with our statewide football previews and never could get a hold of him. So we didn't know too much about Idaho Falls coming into the season either, but the Tigers are 2-0 with 2 pretty impressive wins. You know, their most recent win came against Blackfoot, 34-33. And so for Idaho Falls to start 2-0 for a program that's been down for a couple of seasons, I think that's really exciting. On the other hand, you have Blackfoot. They're 0-2, but Bronco fans, don't worry. The 2 losses came to 2 5A opponents, Thunder Ridge and Idaho Falls, and each by 1 point. All right, so Blackfoot has lost 2 games by a total of 2 points. I think they're going to be okay. I still think they and Skyline are going to be the 2 favorites in the 4A High Country Conference, and I think still right now I'm even leaning a little bit towards Blackfoot in that matchup. That's just my personal opinion, and maybe we can ask Lance when he gets back what he thinks, because that matchup is coming up actually sooner than you think. Blackfoot and Skyline will play each other at the end of September, so, or actually in like 2 weeks. So that's going to be a fun matchup for sure. So Idaho Falls 2-0, looking strong. Blackfoot 0-2, but no reason to panic too much. Let's talk about Skyline real quick. They had that heart-stopping loss in the season opener at the Rocky Mountain Rumble to Green River, Utah, or Green Canyon, Utah, and it was on a last-second field goal, basically a field goal to win the game for that Utah program. And then Skyline last week came out and really took it to Thunder Ridge. Thunder Ridge is a team we think is going to be pretty good at the 5A level, and the Grizzlies, I think, were not happy with the way their offense performed in the season opener, and they really opened up the floodgates as they won 39-18. So congratulations to Skyline. They're 1-1. Thunder Ridge is 1-1. The high country, I don't think there's much separation between the 5A and the 4A programs this year. I think pretty routinely we'll see the 5As beat the 4As, and then the next week the 4As get the upper hand. I think it's all pretty even up there in the high country conference. The other squad that looks really tough out of the gates is Rigby, as they defeated Post Falls 49-14. That was a game that I was at broadcasting along with Sean Kane on IdahoSports.com. Rigby looks good. In fact, I think Rigby is the best team in the state for 5A football. I feel pretty confident saying that. I've seen some of the Boise schools play now. I've seen Coeur d'Alene play. I think Rigby's got it. Rigby is the team. They had some drop passes. Tiger Adolfo's got a howitzer attached to his arm and really fires the ball in there with a lot of velocity. And the receivers dropped a couple of passes, but really, that's about the only blemish I can think of. Rigby did have a bad snap right before halftime on a play, and that Post Falls recovered inside the 20, and that led to one of the 2 touchdowns for the Post Falls Trojans. But overall, man, Rigby looks really, really good. So they're 2-0 as well, and looking like, again, in my opinion, the best 5A team in the state. Other scores quickly, Chalice beat Mackey 44-8. Bonneville came up just short against Century 15-13. I think the Bees are still going to be a lot better than they were a year ago. You see the competitiveness. Century won the game last year by 40 points, and this year it was only by 2. So Bonneville, I think, is getting a lot better. West Jefferson shuts out American Falls 22-0. That's a nice win for them. How about Butte County? The Butte County Pirates. I've had them ranked 5th in my personal media poll. I vote on the statewide media coaches or statewide media football poll each and every week, and Butte County's been in my top 5 all season long, even back to the preseason. They dominated Lighthouse Christian 60-26. Butte County's got a tough game coming up this week. We'll preview it in just a moment. Malad, a nice shutout over Ryrie 30-0 as the Bulldogs continue to try to find their way. Firth bounced back after that heartbreaking overtime loss to Westside with a big 57-8 win over Soda Springs. South Fremont looks really good. The Cougars are 2-0, shutting out Salmon 48-0. And probably the one that turned a lot of heads, the Sugar Salem Diggers, defending 3A champs, juggernaut on the football field, lost the annual rivalry game to Shelley. They lost to the Russets 20-7. So in 2 games for the Diggers offense, 10 points total. That's not going to get it done. And, it's been a long time since Sugar's been 0-2 and down on the deck like this. And now it's a claw back. Shelley, meanwhile, is 2-0. How about that? Head coach Josh Wells building a good program there with the Russets. Teton was shut out by Marsh Valley 36-0. Hillcrest lost a tough one. They had to travel all the way to Caldwell to play Valley View. They lost in a 1-possession game, 22-14. And then Saturday, you had 2 games. You had North Fremont traveling all the way to Melba, and the Huskies win by 10, 48-38, in kind of a high-scoring game. That could be a preview of what lies ahead in the 2A postseason. And then you had Madison making the trip all the way to Lewiston, and the Bengals came away with a 42-29 win there as well. So that'll be something to keep an eye on as the season goes along. Madison now 1-1. What are the best matchups this week? I think right away you start with Butte County. They're 2-0. They're playing Rockland, which is also 2-0. So a battle of 2-0 teams there. I think that's going to be a fantastic matchup. You've got South Fremont traveling to Aberdeen in what could be a preview of not a preview, but South Fremont's a good 3A team. Aberdeen expecting to make the playoffs for the 2A ranks. Snake River traveling to Blackfoot. Does Blackfoot get their first win of the season finally? They've had a really tough schedule out of the gates. Snake River a little disappointed after being shut out by Westside last week. That's a fun rivalry game, of course. And then at the 5A level, the game I'm really keeping an eye on is Thunder Ridge at Idaho Falls. The Tigers, we mentioned, 2-0 start. But this is the first conference game. If they could be 3-0 and 1-0 in the league, oh, that would be so tremendous. That would go a long way towards deciding, their fate. And then the 2 games I saved for last are what I think are going to be the 2 best matchups. On Friday night in Holt Arena, as part of the second game of a doubleheader, you've got Rigby, the best 5A team, against Skyline, possibly the best 4A team. That's right. For Skyline last year, they almost went undefeated. Their only loss came to Rigby. And this is going to be a fantastic rematch. They're playing it inside Holt Arena in Pocatello, which is interesting considering that Rigby and Skyline are both north of Holt Arena. But I guess both coaches probably, this is what I'm assuming, both coaches, Coach Berger for Skyline and Coach Gonzalez for Rigby, know that they're probably going to be playing at Holt Arena in the postseason, at least hoping they are, and they want to get their players acclimated to that after an entire season away from Holt Arena because of the pandemic. So a fun matchup inside Holt Arena, 8:15 p.m. Friday night, part of a doubleheader. And the doubleheader involves 0 Pocatello schools. So it's kind of interesting. The other matchup we're going to have for you Friday night on IdahoSports.com, the Shelley Russets. We mentioned it. They're 2-0, and they are hosting Jerome. The defending Great Basin Conference champions are off to an 0-2 start, though, with a pair of losses to 3A opponents. Now, those 3A opponents are really good, Gooding and Kimberly. But is this Russets team for real? I think so. They turned back Sugar Salem. They turned back Preston as well this year. So Shelley, I think, is ready to turn the corner. This will be their toughest test yet, though, as it is a 4A power that is expecting to qualify for the playoffs in Jerome. So I will be there broadcasting that game Friday night from Shelley, along with Sean Kane, right here on IdahoSports.com. Kickoff set for 7 o'clock on Friday night. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. All right, enough football talk. Let's get into cross country, previewing the upcoming Tiger-Grizz Invitational that we'll be broadcasting live Friday afternoon starting at 2:45. Let's talk first to the Idaho Falls coaching staff, and they've got sort of co-coaches. It's Craig Enos, and Alan McMurtry. Welcome back to our coverage of the 2021 Tiger-Grizz Invitational from Freeman Park in Idaho Falls. Brandon Baney joined right now by the coaching staff of the Idaho Falls cross-country squad. Alan McMurtry is the gentleman in the yellow shirt with the sunglasses on top of the hat. Also joining us is Craig Enos, and he is in the salmon-colored shirt. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Let's start with Coach McMurtry. How long have you been coaching cross-country at Idaho?
I've been at Idaho Falls High School since 1994. I took over the cross country in 2000. So been a minute.
Very exciting. And what about you, Craig? How long have you been coaching?
I joined Coach McMurtry in about 2005. I think this is my 16th or 17th year.
Okay. So describe to me what a typical practice is like. Do one of you take the boys, one take the girls? Do you switch it up? How do you guys divvy up the responsibilities?
Well, we've been working together long enough that we kind of have our different roles and things that we manage. But no, we both coach the boys and the girls, and both the varsity and the JV. We try to give everybody plenty of attention. I have another assistant that's volunteering the last few years, Kathy Erickson, that does a great job, and she does work with the girls maybe a little bit more than the boys. But all three of us try to help with all the kids.
Sure.
Coach is a great data hound. He gets all the splits, and the guy can run a spreadsheet. He gets us lots of information and lots of numbers to analyze on both practices and meets.
Awesome. So you're the number cruncher, Craig.
I am the number cruncher.
Okay, so what do the numbers is it just your team, or do you look at other teams and other competitors? Because we're going to have over 40 teams competing here at the Tiger-Grizz.
Right. Usually it's most of the data is just for our team, but as we accumulate a number of meets for the year and have a chance to interface or race against, say, some Boise schools, I can sort of crunch the numbers and compare the Eastern schools against the Western schools, who have then run against other Western components or opponents, and I can get pretty close as to how the teams rank, even though they're running on different courses.
Sure. So you have to be pretty excited then that Rocky Mountain and Owyhee are both coming over to compete. You'll be able to finally see them and get some data.
Yep, that's exactly correct.
Okay, so let's talk about Alan, for those that have never experienced Tiger-Grizz before, what are the fans in for at this invite?
First of all, carpool if you can, because the parking is an issue. We park up in the University Place parking lot just north of the park, and we've had people park on the course in the past, and so we try to minimize any vehicles inside of the park so that everybody can see the runners and that the course is nice and open. There is some parking out on the street, but yeah, it's always an exciting, competitive, one of the biggest invites on a Friday, I think, that is around. Just bathroom situation, and we're not providing water at the finish line due to the state doesn't want us handling the cups and everything, but we will have training staff there. So there's a limited amount of water, so you might want to hydrate. I think it's going to be pretty warm. Hydrate before you come and bring your own water bottle, and arrive early so that you have plenty of time to walk in from the parking lot.
This is going to be an all-event and then we'll be broadcasting the 4 varsity heats, the 2 girls and the 2 boys. Explain how the heats will be split up this year.
I think I got your question, but you cut out there a little bit.
Okay.
But we are doing, we figure that on that course, about anytime you get close to 400 is about the most that it can handle, especially at the start line. And there are some tight corners. So the biggest race will be the JV boys A division. And so we have split the B JV division and the A. And then we also did that with the varsity. In the past, we ran those together so that they get to run with each other, but then we split out the scoring. But with the additional number of teams coming this year, we decided to just break out the JV and the varsity, and we're even splitting up the junior high. The sport's growing, and there's a lot of junior high runners. So we had to split those races up too into kind of a JV and a varsity, even at the middle school level, which is kind of unique. That's something new this year.
And if I understand correctly, the A division is going to be like your 5A, 4A schools. B division is going to be 3A, 2A, 1A. Do I got that right?
Correct. I think
Okay.
640 is the cutoff. Anything 640 students or more will be in the A division.
Okay.
But yeah, basically it's the 5A, 4A, because I think we're all from Idaho this year. We have in the past had a few Montana, Wyoming, Utah schools come, but I think we're all Idaho.
Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting field, that's for sure. So Craig, since you have all the data, tell me a little bit about some of the athletes that are competing for Idaho Falls this year. Let's start on that boys side, because I know there's a lot of talented male runners this year.
Right. So for the Idaho Falls team, of course, we have Luke Athay, who's a sophomore this year. He finished number 4 in the state in the 5A race last year, and he is the top returner in the 5A classification. So of course he's one of the most talented in the field, and he has as good a chance of winning a race as anyone else out there. So we also have about 5 or 6 other good solid returners. We have Richie Stewart, who's a junior, Ben Berman, a junior. We have Nico Sanchez, who is a transfer from Shelley High School and was ineligible last year. He had to sit out last year, but he's running very solid. We have another sophomore boy, Jaden Little, and then Taylor Wehausen, and then have a couple freshman boys that are right there with the back of that pack. So we have a good solid core of 8 to 10 runners this year.
Lots of competition every practice, because varsity, there's only a certain amount of spots, and I'm sure there's really good competition at the back end of that varsity roster.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay, what about on the girls' side? Who are some lady Tigers we want to keep an eye out for?
Okay, we have 4 real solid returners, led by Eleanor Eddington, who's a junior, Allie Lemons, another junior, Hannah Kohler, a senior. Abby Corgatelli is a senior, and she's a little bit injured right now, but hope to have her back soon. We have a sophomore girl, Paige Skates, who's been running right close to our pack of 3 girls up front. And then we have a freshman girl, Rachel Hales, who performed really well at the Soda Springs, the Cardinal Classic last week. It was our number 5 runner. And then Cami Comba is our number 6 right now.
Okay, so that's really exciting. Good competition there on the girls' side as well. Coach McMurtry, if you could, as best you can, maybe describe the course for those that aren't familiar with the layout of how it's going to work at Freeman Park. What will our runners have to encounter as they're going over this course?
Yeah, so the start area is right up by the memorial, and they'll head out to the north. There's several hills, most of them in the second half. So it's definitely it's not an easy course. It's not a course where kids are going for a PR. They're really racing for place because it's not going to be your fastest time of the year typically. It is where regionals or districts will be for the 3A, 4A, and 5A from District 6 later in October. So it's a good preview for those 3A, 4A, 5A schools that'll be competing their district meets there to qualify for state. But yeah, the course can really sneak up on you if you go out too hard because there's several hills in the second half. We call it the W because it's kind of an up and down and up and down with 1, 2, 3, 4 hills there kind of linked together right at the end of the second mile, first of the third mile. Actually has a little bit of an uphill finish. So yeah, it's a tough course.
Yeah, that's what I talked to Coach Schmidt from Skyline, and he kind of said the same thing. It's really rigorous, and so it'll be whoever finishes in first place will definitely earn it. That's for sure.
Very spectator friendly, though. You can see a lot of the course without having to travel too far. We're kind of confined or limited with our space, so the course does have some tight turns and some winding back and forth on itself a little bit. But we're able to get the next race going while the other kids are finishing if need be. But I think we have things spaced out pretty well to where we should be able to finish one off and up and go right into the next without any conflict.
Looks like a good schedule of events. Well, Alan and Craig, we want to thank you for joining us and helping us preview the Tiger-Grizz Invite a little bit. It's going to be really exciting, and we're very excited to broadcast it live as well on IdahoSports.com.
Well, thank you. We always appreciate the sport getting any recognition that it can. It's nice.
All right. So once again, that was the Idaho Falls coaching tandem of Craig Enos and Alan McMurtry. They have a good crop of, especially boys, this year on the cross country program. Girls have potential as well. Let's check in with the other coach that's going to be co-hosting the Tiger-Grizz Invitational Friday. It's Skyline cross country coach Sean Schmidt.
Hi.
Welcome back to IdahoSports.com's coverage of the 2021 Tiger-Grizz Cross Country Invitational. Brandon Baney joined right now by Sean Schmidt, head cross country coach at Skyline. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. So tell us a little bit about how the season has been going so far at Skyline.
Oh, well, we had 2 meets, and one was a night meet that was kind of exciting. And then we ran at the Soda Springs Invitational last week, and we had some good performances. It's been good so far.
Tell me a little bit more about that night meet. That's kind of unusual.
Yeah, my assistant coach, Gray Augustus, he suggested maybe we should do something original and different, and we ran at a park in Idaho Falls, turned on the lights for the softball field, and tried to light up the course as much as possible. And the kids ran, and we had 6 teams there, and with glow sticks and running fast, and a lead bike that had a light, so it was really kind of fun.
Yeah, so all the runners were wearing kind of glow sticks around their wrists and things like that.
Yeah, some had them in their hair, some of them had them on their wrists, around their neck. You know, other kids said, "I'm not wearing anything. I'll just wear a shirt like I'm supposed to." So,
yeah, that's super exciting. And then, of course, one of the signature cross country events, not just in Eastern Idaho, but really the whole state, Tiger-Grizz coming up. How exciting is it to have another Tiger-Grizz to look forward to?
It's good. It's really good. I mean, Skyline's been around since 1967, and basically there's been a Tiger-Grizz ever since 1967 every year. Every once in a while they've had it canceled for different reasons, but yeah, so it's been around quite a long time. And this year we have over 2,000 athletes already registered, it closes at 9 o'clock tonight. We'll see how many we have. So.
Yeah, I think I checked at last count. There was like 46 schools that were participating. That number could go up still, but that's how does that compare to years past?
We're a little bit bigger, probably 10 schools bigger this year than last year, and 10 schools bigger than the year before. But yeah, 46 high schools and then some junior high schools that they go run there too. So.
Yeah, it's a full day of running, that's for sure. How excited are your athletes? It's kind of their home meet, so to speak.
Correct. Yeah, we kids want to do well. They know the course probably better than other kids do, which is nice. When we run the hills, our kids are prepared for it, and we've done those hills many times, so they're ready to go.
That's for sure. To the fans that may not have been following too closely, who are some athletes to keep an eye on at Skyline this year? Let's start with the girls' side because you've got some really impressive female runners.
Yes. Nila Roberts is the returning state champion, and she's got a big target on her back, and she's probably favored to win on Friday, but she has to run really well in order to do so. And then we have a couple other young ladies. Annie Mickelson and Marina Reyna are our 2 and 3 girls, and they're getting better every week. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, you mentioned Nila Roberts. She's only a sophomore, right?
Correct.
So what sort of improvement have you seen going from her freshman year to her sophomore year? Because that can typically be a pretty big step athletics-wise.
Well, I think there's just a sense of confidence about being able to just put out a strong effort every time she races. And every workout she does, she really does well doing all those.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned probably the favorite individually. Who are some teams that you're excited to see on the girls' side? Who is bringing strong teams to the Tiger-Grizz competition?
Well, if I had to guess, Twin Falls might be the best girls team, and then Preston and Pokey and us at Skyline and IF. Those are the top 5. IF beat us last week, so they're one of the top 5 along with us, and those are all kind of local except for Twin Falls, but all Eastern Idaho, I should say, except for Twin Falls. But Boise's bringing over Rocky Mountain and Oahe and Bishop Kelly, so those are always good schools too. And
yeah,
those
go ahead.
That's a big division. In the small division, there's Sugar Salem and Soda Springs and Salmon that are all good on the boys and girls side too.
Now, at this competition, there will only be one champion, right? It's the small schools competing against the bigger schools, or do you break it down by classification?
We actually have 4 varsity races. So one small school girl, one small school boy, one big school girl, one big school boy. And that's 4A and 5A are the big schools, and 1, 2, and 3A are the small schools.
Okay, that's going to be exciting to watch. How about on the boys' side? How are the Skyline Boys looking this year?
We're doing okay. We got one strong senior, and then another senior that's in the top 7, and then we have a bunch of juniors that could all make it top 7 if they wanted. We got about 10 kids competing for the top 7 spots. So.
And for all our fans that will be watching, who are a couple of names to keep an eye out for in that boys' side?
Well, for Skyline, we got Ridge Wilding and Kyle Neff, Carson Wages, Nate Meldrum, Aiden Hardy. Those are our top guys. So.
And then in terms of teams coming over on the boys' side, I know Idaho Falls is really good, but who else are you looking forward to seeing compete as a team in that boys' competition?
Well, I do think IF's probably the favorite right now, but Bishop Kelly looks good, and so does Rocky Mountain over from Boise. And down south, there's Pokey and Twin and Preston in the big schools. And in the little schools, Sugar Salem's the class above everybody else. So.
Yeah, all the teams you just mentioned, most of them are in the eastern part, and you go from 5A all the way down to 1A, and it seems like a lot of the champions come from Eastern. What is it about Eastern Idaho that produces these great cross-country athletes year in, year out?
Well, it's nice to have these kids that want to work hard, and they I think they do what their coaches ask them to do, and that makes them better. So.
Absolutely. Well, we're looking forward to broadcasting the Tiger-Grizz competition on IdahoSports.com. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully the weather cooperates, right?
Yep, we're hoping the smoke blows away. It's supposed to. The prediction right now is low smoke turnout for Friday, so that's our goal. And it's going to be hot, but hot is better than not being able to run. So.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Coach Schmidt from Skyline High, best of luck to you and your teams at the Tiger-Grizz, and thank you for taking a couple of minutes to break it down with us as well. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Big thanks to Coach Schmidt from Skyline's cross-country program. And again, the Tiger-Grizz Invitational. Over 40 teams are going to be competing. They say it's going to be one of the largest fields ever. And you can catch all 4 varsity heats on IdahoSports.com starting approximately 2:45 tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be exciting. It's the first cross-country broadcast we've ever done at IdahoSports.com, and it might be the start of what's going to be maybe a good tradition moving forward. We're certainly excited to bring it to you tomorrow. That'll do it for this edition of the East Idaho Prepcast. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Couple of friendly reminders. If you want to see what we have on the broadcast schedule, you can go to IdahoSports.com. Across the top of the homepage, you'll see the game streams link. Go ahead and click that, and that will show you all of the audio and video broadcasts we have coming up, not just this week, but in the weeks and months ahead as well. The 2 big broadcasts, football tomorrow night. We're going to have, football will have 2 broadcasts actually on IdahoSports.com. I failed to mention this earlier. That big battle at Ravston Stadium between Thunder Ridge and Idaho Falls, that will be broadcast on IdahoSports.com, kicking off at 7 o'clock. We will also have Jerome at Shelley for you at 7 o'clock as well. And, of course, tomorrow afternoon, Tiger-Grizz Invitational, 2:45 coverage will start there. That's all on the game streams page at IdahoSports.com. The Friday Night Flash is back. That's right. Our live interactive updating scoreboard of football scores from corner to corner in the state of Idaho. That's right. It is a comprehensive statewide scoreboard. Our intern Keller is doing a great job week in, week out, getting those score updates, and you will see real-time updates of football games across the state. That's the Friday Night Flash. You can find that right on the homepage, and we debuted it last week. We had about 50 people participating. I want to see more, okay? This is free money. Free money on the line with our Gridiron game picks. That's right, the Gridiron game picks. It's right on the homepage, IdahoSports.com, right at the top. All you have to do is get your picks in before 7 p.m. each and every Friday. You're picking every single football game across the state of Idaho. And if you get the most picks correct, you win $25. That's right. It's going to be so much fun, and it's your chance to prove that you know more than me or Paul Kingsbury or Lance Taylor or any of the so-called IdahoSports.com experts. Last week I talked about was the first week of the season, and I did okay. It wasn't terrible, but I finished 10th. I finished 10th overall in the standings, highest among Idaho sports employees, except for intern Keller. Intern Keller finished just ahead of me in 9th place. So I don't know. I did 10th. That's not bad, but Jim Erickson was the guy. He got 54 of 66 games picked correctly. So big props to Jim Erickson, our week 1 winner for the Gridiron game picks. And we want to see everybody get signed up and registered and make your picks for game 2. We want more people participating, more chances to win good competition. And again, free cash that you could win from our Gridiron game picks. So that'll do it for this edition of the East Idaho Prepcast. I know I said that about 5 minutes ago before I went off on my tangent, but friendly reminder, you can get this podcast a couple of ways, audio only at IdahoSports.com or wherever you download your podcasts. You can also catch the video version of this. If you want to see Coach Schmidt, that interview I did, he was getting ready for practice. He was outside, but that was fine. It was fun. And so you can catch the video of this on the IdahoSports.com Facebook page or our YouTube channel. All right. I'm going to get out of here. Next week, we'll be back with Lance. Don't worry. You won't have to hear me nearly as much next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Enjoy the great weekend of competition. We'll see you back here next time on the East Idaho Prepcast from IdahoSports.com.